Hey everyone, Irishman Rants here, or Sean the Irishman, and you might be wondering what's with the new setup. Well, I'm back at home for the holidays, and you might be wondering what's with the new couch. Well, the other couch was destroyed by the ceiling falling on it and kind of ripping it apart. As you can see, there's now a hole in the ceiling, which should be fine. It just makes a lot of noise because of the water pump. I'm going to be doing something new. I'm going to be doing music reviews. I'm going to do a bit of a rundown of what this show is about now. So if you want to skip it and just get into my review, then just go to this time right under me. So what is Very Bad Albums about? Well, it's a show where I decide to take a look at different parts of music. Usually I'm going to be reviewing an album that I think is worse than, I think the bar is The New Classic. That's an album I gave like a 60 out of 100. And anything that I would give a score below that, I'll review on this show. I haven't actually listened to that many albums that are worse than The New Classic. Only about 4 albums. And they're all hip-hop albums. So if you have any suggestions of bad albums that I should be reviewing, then leave a suggestion in the comments. The way I review albums is I'll take a look at a specific album, and then I'll give each track a score from 0 to 5. After I take all those scores, then I will put them into a calculator. I'll add them all up. If a track was more of a sketch, then I'll not count that track, and then I'll take the added sum of all those ratings and then divide it by the number of tracks that weren't sketches. And then you take that times 10, and then you get your album score. So for this series, I'm going to be giving an in-depth look at some of those awful, just unlistenable albums that you don't want to listen to. You just really don't. Whether it be the worst point in Eminem's career that wasn't this year, or if it's just a Little B mixtape, like any of them, then this is the show for you. If you want to watch me tear apart Mike Love ruining the Beach Boys, this show is for you. So yeah, this is my new show. Let's see how many months this lasts until I get bored with it. How dare you skip ahead? Now I'm gonna dance. So, Jake Paul. You know, this year had many colorful characters. It had Sean Spicer, Betsy DeVos, and Harvey Weinstein. But nobody takes the cake like Jake Paul. He's probably the least despicable of the 3 I mentioned. But he's just so hateable, just because of how much of a douchebag he is. And of course, like any douchebag would, he made a Christmas album. Let's see if he's like Phil Spector, who's a douchebag who killed a woman, but he made some goddamn great Christmas music. I didn't want to do this. It was a last-minute decision for the poll that I put on Twitter. If people wanted to see me review this album, I guess I have to do it now that I said I would. Now, the weird thing is, this show's called Very Bad Albums, but this is actually not an album, this is an EP. Now, I would review an EP if it had more than 8 tracks on it, but this one only has 6 tracks. But because I decided to do this review, I might as well review it with the same standards that I give my album reviews. The only difference is it won't be on my list of albums I've listened to. 1, because it's not an album with at least 8 tracks, and 2, because I'm ashamed of ever listening to this. I have my Rate Your Music up, I have the album up, and, you know, maybe when I give it a listen, it won't be all bad, right? I mean, it can't be that bad.
England is my city, England is my city, England is my city, England is my city, England.
It might actually be that bad. It might actually be that bad. Oh boy. 12 Days of Christmas. It's the Team 10 themed version of 12 Days of Christmas, sung by Jake Paul in the most grating voice I've heard this year. Like, oh my god. I can't tell sometimes if he's trying to sing, or if he's trying to speak and rap, or if he's trying to combine both at the same time and, like, sing rap. It just comes off as really weird, and just it throws off the whole vibe of the song. It's only near the end of the song where there's this sort of joke that actually made me laugh, like, genuinely, and not just at how bad the song was. But that was immediately ruined by him going, Lamborghinis! And it was just, it hurt. It really hurt. The beat itself was okay. I think I could probably make a better trap version of 12 Days of Christmas. Well, I couldn't, because I don't know that much about composing music. I would rather listen to something that was a bit better, but it was okay. It was serviceable version of 12 Days of Christmas, if you like trap. Was the Santa at the beginning of the song Nick Crompton? I couldn't tell. If so, then he's actually a really good voice actor, and I give him props. I give this a 2 out of 5. It's not very good. The singing, quote-unquote, is not very good. It's actually quite terrible. Even the speaking parts are quite terrible. He speaks it with very awful enunciation. Lamborghinis.
England is my city, it is England is my city, it is England.
Litmas. That's the name of the album, and that's the name of this song. I will say, though, that the production on the music was actually pretty good. I noticed after a while that it was sampling Carol of the Bells, which I like Carol of the Bells, and it took me a while for me to actually, like, notice that it was Carol of the Bells. It took them to stop mumbling and making nonsense for me to know that it was Carol of the Bells. It could either be just, like, boring-ass instrumentals for Jake Paul, or it could be, like, pretty dope instrumentals. It's always just terrible lyrics, though. And this song didn't really have any lyrics that stood out. It was just meh. I didn't really notice anything, except for 2 lines where he was talking about his parents being divorced, so he gets 2 Christmas lists, which was really just a joke he stole from the Talladega Nights.
Are you asking me for a divorce?
Yay! 2 Christmases!
So yeah, good job on stealing from the pinnacle of Will Ferrell's career. So I'd probably give this also a 2 out of 5, but it was definitely better than last song. While the last song was at least interestingly bad, this song was boring and just kind of like whatever. The only way it's better is that it actually doesn't censor the word shit. So, A+, I guess? I don't know. It was such a blur up until the line about divorce. The only thing I could ever interpret from this is that Christmas is lit, Christmas litmas. And also some old person talking about Christmas lights being lit. I'm not liking this album so far.
England is my city, England is my city, England is my city, England is my city, England.
So, Deck the Halls. It's a Team 10 themed cover of Deck the Halls. All of these songs are basically Team 10 versions of Christmas songs, except for Litmas and another song which is going to be signaling my impending doom. I don't follow the exploits of Team 10. The only exposure I have is Pyrocynical and Philip DeFranco talking about Jake Paul, and also watching the video for It's Everyday Bro. I also once watched a clip of Jake Paul reacting to a prank that was being pulled on Ice Poseidon.
And second thing, I'm looking across the way right now. Usually there's fans, but there's a random ass picture of a guy. Look at this.
Does anybody know who that is right there? I'm gonna try to zoom in so you can see. Interesting.
I don't know what the fuck.
What the?
What? What the fuck is that? What the fuck? Hold on. What in the fuck? Yo, what the fuck, dude? Yo.
Huge ass tryhard.
The vocals on this song from Jake Paul are just as bad as in 12 Days of Christmas. Deck the tree with yellow diamonds. Bling 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 brr. Also, why is it called Deck the Halls when I never heard the word halls in this song? The production on the music was also not very good this time around. It was another trap version of a Christmas classic, but unlike 12 Days of Christmas, it was actually less serviceable. It was half decent. Furthermore, just the lyrics are just awful. Like, if the chorus wasn't bad enough, I got a lump of coal in my stocking, but it's fine though, because I got my sleigh on rodeo. I can't understand what Jake Paul's saying. He's trying so hard to be black that he just sounds like just a crazy person. It's not fun. And if you're wondering what I mean by tries really hard to be black, I'm talking about a white guy's version of what he thinks a black man is. So, don't go crazy on me in the comments. I give this a 1.5 out of 5. I know that seems generous, but I've heard worse rap songs. I think Fack by Eminem is worse, because it's actually by an artist that I respect. Jake Paul so far has not earned my respect in any way. I respect more the people who have to put up with this shit and create half-decent instrumentals for him to rap over. Like, you guys are the real heroes. Alright. I'm at the halfway point. I'm really happy about that. Oh god, that was a bad song.
England, 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 England. All I want for Christmas is a JP sweatshirt.
Oh no, don't say sweatshirt.
When you go to sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning.
Ow, I actually hit my head. Ow. That was no. I might actually give this my worst rating I could give a song. God, that was despicable. That song was actually despicable. And I'll tell you why. Fanjoy to the World is a song about people buying the merch of Jake Paul. The chorus is literally buy the merch, repeated over and over again. And it's played completely straight. It's not a satire on capitalism or consumerism. It's not supposed to make fun of how commercial Christmas is getting. It's not supposed to make fun of any of that. It's literally just him telling his young fangirls to dab on the haters and to go buy all of his merch and his sweatshirts. It's like everything that people hate about Christmas is in this song. This is actually making me mad. This is awful, but in a very sick, disgusting way. It's a song that glorifies the commercialism that many people criticize the holiday season for, about how it's all about spending and the promotion of greed and all that shit. And this song actually enforces that, because it's taking a song like Joy to the World, which is about the birth of Christ, and making it about buying Jake Paul merch because he's the second coming of Christ. At least that's what I took away from it. It also doesn't help that I hit my head during listening to this song by accident, though I probably would have done it on purpose if given the chance. This is a 0.5 out of 5. I don't know if I've ever rated a song that low before, but it might be now. We might actually be finding the worst song ever is just, oh my god, this is just insidious. This is like propaganda in a Christmas song. I gave Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas a 2 out of 10, which would be a 1 out of 5 if I was rating it as a song. This is a step below Saving Christmas. Think about that. Kirk Cameron knows more about Christmas and wants to at least promote Christmas spirit more than Jake Paul does. Jake Paul just wants you to buy the merch. Sure, he's not talking about crocodiles or whatnot, and he's not a religious nut, but at least Kirk Cameron wants to make people, like, enjoy Christmas. Sure, he's also promoting commercialism in that movie too, but 0.5 out of 5. Jesus fucking Christ.
Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's!
So the song is called Jingle Balls, and it's not very good. It's not as bad as the previous song, which was just outright propaganda for Jake Paul's merch. This song is also outright propaganda, but it's also insidiously hidden throughout the song. You'll actually hear the phrase, buy the merch, hidden in there. In another part of the song, it says, which I don't understand why it was put in there. It doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. There's another part of the song where he's talking about buying Jake Paul merch on the Christmas list, which I don't know why Jake Paul is buying his own merch unless he's that big of an a-hole. Jake Paul was also not rapping on beat a lot of the time and was singing along when the beat itself was the slow build-up to Jingle Bells. So it was really off-putting. Also, he's trying really hard to be Migos on here. I mean, he's trying to be a live artist on different songs. On the previous song, Fanjoy to the World, he tries to sound a little bit like Rick Ross. On this one, he's trying to be Migos, and it's failing really hard. I was also promised a Logan Paul feature, but I didn't get it. It was actually just Jake Paul pretending to be Logan Paul. Thank you for tricking us on Christmas, cunt. But either way, I give this a 1 out of 5. It's not as bad as the previous song, but still, it's still pretty insidious. I'm really, honestly, just lucky. I'm just mad about that previous song. That was like, I just really ruined Christmas because of like, hopefully the last song on this EP, because it's only 6 songs again, is gonna be better. What's it called?
Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's!
So, I predicted before listening to the song, It's Christmas Day, Bro, that the song was going to be It's Everyday, Bro, but with jingle bells over it. And to my surprise, it was. I completely predicted what the song was going to be. And it proceeded to be only somewhat better than It's Everyday, Bro. But that's only because if you've never heard It's Everyday, Bro, then you will probably hate this song. This song is basically just a Christmas version of It's Everyday, Bro. It's right up there with Bobby Pickett doing Monsters Holiday as a follow-up to Monster Mash. But Bobby Pickett is also fucking Bach compared to Jake Paul. I'd rather listen to the Monster Mash 10,000 times than listen to any more of this fucking EP. I will say that there was, again, a genuinely funny part of this, in that Nick Crompton, for some reason sounding really deep, like Nick's fucking balls dropped, he says the line, "London is my country." Now again, you'll have to have listened to It's Everyday, Bro, to enjoy that line. You know what? Monsters Holiday and Bring Me a Man This Christmas versions of one-hit wonders that are released as the follow-up, you don't have to hear It's Raining Men or Monster Mash to enjoy them. You have to have listened to It's Everyday, Bro to enjoy this. But not enjoy this, because you won't enjoy either song. Unless you're like a 10-year-old girl. Sadly, the Portuguese verse was not featured in this. I mean, I'll gladly take that because it makes the song shorter, but it's sad that it doesn't have that diversity that the previous song had. all the competition, man. Santa Claus is next. Oh man, watch out, Santa. He's gonna take you down like he did PewDiePie. Was Jake Paul the one who sabotaged PewDiePie and made him say the N-word? Because that explains a lot, because Jake Paul looks like he says the N-word. I give this version 1 star out of 5. So let's find out what the score is.
England is my city.
Alright, so we're gonna take the score of each song, times 2 for each song, and then add each of those songs up, and then divide that by 6, the number of tracks, and you get this, a 27%. This album gets a 27 out of 100. Somehow, I came into this album with low expectations, and somehow, I was still really disappointed. This was manipulative, pandering, just commercial as fuck. It was unpleasant to listen to. Jake Paul's vocals were very grating for most of the album, and I actually think he could have done with some auto-tune, and I think he even used auto-tune on some of the songs, but he didn't use auto-tune enough. He could have done so much with this album, because the production is actually half decent. I think he could have done something if he knew how to write music, or if his ghostwriters knew how to write music. I feel like the features were awful and very lacking, and I could barely tell that they were there most of the time. I felt like for an EP that was only 17 minutes, or 18 minutes, or whatever, it was actually a real pain. It was actually a real drudge to listen to. It was... oh my... I feel drained listening to this. The lyrics are just... ugh. And the fact that Fanjoy to the World exists is the reason why many people don't believe there's a Santa Claus, or don't believe in Christmas. But I believe in Christmas. And I don't believe in Santa Claus because he's not real, but I believe in Christmas. Jake Paul does not believe in Christmas. He believes in money. And that's what this album wants you to spend. It just wants you to spend money on his merch. It's basically just a giant commercial for Team 10 and Team 10 merch and his brand. And it's awful. Well, I guess this is my Christmas episode. Happy birthday, Jesus. You're welcome, Mashugana. And have a Merry Christmas from Team 12. It's every day, bro, with the water to wine flow. Going. Thank you, Hasidic Jesus. It's every day, bro. So, I think my camera just broke. Yeah.